In February of 2026, contractor Mike Hicks was gutting a kitchen in an 1880s Scandia farmhouse. He swung his sledgehammer through layers of modern drywall and old lath, the thin wooden strips used to support plaster, only to find a void where a chimney should have been. Inside that cavity sat a cedar chest, constructed with dovetail joints, interlocking wedge-shaped pins that create a permanent, glue-free bond. The craftsmanship was so precise that after 80 years, the lid remained airtight. Mike contacted Amaya Freeman, an archivist for the Kitsap County Historical Society. She arrived to find a relic that had been deliberately entombed, rather than simply forgotten. The chest was hidden behind a false wall built from salvaged bricks. These weren't local stones. They were stamped with the names of Seebeck and Port Blakely, towns that had burned to the ground over a century ago. Inside, Freeman found a collection of impossible objects: a glass vial containing a dried red resin that resembled frozen blood, and a rusted iron key that vibrated with a faint, rhythmic hum. Beneath the artifacts lay 12 leather-bound journals. They were the lifework of Dr. Soren Nilsen, a historian who studied the parts of the peninsula's record that the official archives had omitted, right up until he vanished in 1947. Nilsen had placed a single envelope on top of the journals. It was a final, handwritten warning that the information contained within carried a weight that could not be unlearned. These journals weren't just a record of folklore. Nilsen was documenting a stain in the timber and the soil, a contamination that had been dormant since his disappearance. In the late 1800s, the Kitsap and Olympic peninsulas were treated as an inexhaustible resource. This archival photo shows the scale of the extraction: ox teams hauling away Douglas firs that represented 3 centuries of growth. Nilsen's research focused on a substance he called the red clay. According to his journals, this layer of soil treats the clearing of forests and the digging of wells as a physical debt, recording every industrial scar as an unpaid obligation to the land. The clay reacted first in Poulsbo in 1883. A settler named Lars Jensen began hearing the sound of an axe echoing his own rhythm from a nearby ravine. It was a seatco, a mimic that weaponized the sounds of Jensen's own labor to lure his family into the timber. Within 2 years, Jensen's 3-acre farm was reclaimed by a feverish growth of thorns and alder. The land consumed the clearing and the family within it, effectively balancing the account for the timber Jensen had cut. Nilsen concluded that these weren't random occurrences. The red clay acts as a localized predator, adapting its behavior to collect the exact type of debt created by those who try to own the land. By 1886, the scale of the debt increased. At the Seebeck mill, the clay utilized a massive inferno to collect on the town's entire industrial output in a single week of fire. In the ashes of Seebeck, the debt was atomized. The earth transformed the town's lost wealth into physical scrip, paper promises, that manifested as a violet orchard where the fruit felt like stone. The Port Blakely mill represented the peak of the era. These saws spun at 3,000 revolutions per minute, processing logs from across the peninsula. When Port Blakely burned in 1888, the harbor water underwent a chemical shift. It became a viscous, boiling vat of oil and copper, a fluid so thick it trapped the workers who jumped from the docks. The survivors of the boiling harbor were changed. Nilsen found that their consciousnesses had fused, linked by the same iron-glass threads that were now spreading through the soil of the mill site. By combining the physical currency of Seebeck with the fused minds of Port Blakely, the red clay was no longer just destroying. It was building a subterranean network, a distributed intelligence made from the people and the promises it had consumed. When Amaya Freeman removed the Scandia papers from their cedar vault, she removed the final barrier between this network and the modern world. Shortly after discovery, a seismic monitor began recording a rhythmic pulse beneath the farmhouse, a steady, heavy thumping every 3 seconds. But that interval is shrinking, accelerating to 1.5 seconds as the subterranean network synchronizes. The artifacts in the archival box are reacting to the speed. The iron key and the resin vial have begun to vibrate in time with the soil, pulling magnetically toward the Scandia site. When the rhythm reaches 1 second, the speed of a human heart, the synchronization is complete. The iron glass threads are already breaking through the surface. Nilsen's 140-year audit is finished. The ground is no longer just holding our weight. It is breathing, and it is ready to collect.